Okay.
All right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another Bat and Cal Fibers Community Zoom. Tonight, our community Zoom topic is Instagram basics. My name is Hannah Thyssen Howard, and I'm the Communications Director at Bat and Cal Fiber Mill in Greenwich, New York. And we specialize in a bunch of different fibers, all natural fibers, and especially local regional heritage fibers. So we work with a lot of smaller businesses and kind of homespun businesses, family owned businesses. So maybe they don't have a big marketing team and you're just learning your Instagram stuff on your own, like most of us are. And I wanted to share a little bit of the knowledge that I've gathered over my work doing this kind of marketing for different companies within our industry. I work in social media, but I like to say that I don't love social media. I think that it's really hard, especially in an industry that's so tactile, to have so many of our interactions be through the internet. One of the things that I love so much about our fiber industry is that we get to break outside of that and see each other at shows and events every year. And kind of through this presentation, my goal is to capture those elements, those really great things about what make our industry special, and show you how to translate those into your Instagram in a way that helps you get everything done in a reasonable amount of time and not stress about what you are or are not doing. So tonight, we're going to talk about the role that Instagram plays in your business, types of media on Instagram, setting realistic goals for the growth of your Instagram account, and how to schedule your posts in advance to save you some time. So tonight we're going to start out by talking about what the point of Instagram is. According to Instagram, they are a free photo and video sharing app. But some of you may have heard the second quote that I have on this slide. If you're not paying for the product, then you are the product. Instagram will tell you that they are here to help you share your photos and projects with the world. When this app launched, it was not owned by Meta, which is the Facebook parent company, and it was really easy for creatives to form footholds and grow quickly on the platform because the algorithm was designed to show people what they wanted to see, other people that were doing something similar to what they were interested in. Now, in the modern time of Instagram, which has been around for over 10 years, believe it or not, the goals of Instagram have changed. Instagram now makes their money off of data collection and advertisement. So the idea is they collect all the data of everything that we look at on the app, and then they sell that data onto companies, either so that those companies can use it for their own market research, or they can use it to advertise to you directly through Instagram in a really effective way. So basically they make ad revenue through us using the app, and they also make money by collecting and reselling and repurposing our data. Everything about how Instagram works is designed to serve this super high tier of advertisers. And when I say a high tier of advertisers, I mean millions of dollars, not even thousands of dollars, not even hundreds of dollars. So for most of us, that eliminates us from playing in the advertising game in a really meaningful way. So the first thing that I would tell you, and we're barely even going to touch on this in the presentation because I feel that it's just something that you can just check the box on, is don't put any money into Instagram ads. For every dollar that you put into an Instagram ad, you could be putting that dollar into a different area of your business and getting a better return. And we're going to talk about the percentages of return a little bit further on. But what you put into Instagram is directly proportional to how many people see it until you hit a point. And then Instagram essentially sort of like starts to punish you for being successful, for being consistent, all the things that the app rewards you for early on. And they experiment constantly with how ads are shown, how much spacing goes between individual images, and they reward different people for producing content that keeps people on the app. Now, I'm not telling you all of this stuff to discourage you, but just to help you understand that Instagram is no longer the platform that it started as. So for a lot of us, we look at those classic Instagram success stories and we get excited thinking that we're going to repeat that exact formula and have the same amount of success. And unfortunately, the platform that it's designed now is not designed to help any business that can't pay major advertising money succeed. But while there are still some people who go viral on Instagram, sometimes all we really need for our business is to serve a function right now. And maybe that function's not for you to go viral. Maybe it's just to serve a different need within your business. So we're going to talk about that next. What kinds of things can we use Instagram for? Just because it's not designed to help you go viral doesn't mean that this platform is useless for your business. Instagram can represent many things for your brand. It can act as a virtual message board where you post upcoming events, announcements, and new products. It can be a behind the scenes look at your process or projects, a place where customers can get to know you personally, showcase your community. It can be a library of knowledge and information. And all of these can help you grow and develop a following on Instagram, and there serve that information to your business and help it grow outside of Instagram. I really encourage anyone that I work with to think not of Instagram in the way that it's kind of previously functioned. Pay less attention to your follower numbers and more attention to engagement across multiple platforms. For example, if you see a name come up on your newsletter that you've interacted with on Instagram, or someone introduces themselves to you at a show or an event saying that they've gotten to know you through your account, that would be a win. That's very positive engagement. Instagram is acting as a touch point, a place where people can meet and interact with us on a really basic level. Instagram will always work better for businesses that have a very active show and tell mission. So if you have something or you do something that you can show and talk about, you're in a good position for Instagram. If you do something that you cannot show or talk about very easily, or showing and talking about what you do is hard for you, you might consider Instagram not as your primary marketing platform. There might be a better fit for you out there. All right, so now we're going to talk about some different components of Instagram, because this is truly going to be a basics Instagram session. I'm just going to go over some of the really basic elements. If you are fairly familiar with Instagram, some of this might not be new to you, but just hang on until we get back to information that you need. So the terms for Instagram are they have this own little dictionary of terms, and one of them is called the Instagram feed. The Instagram feed is your landing page for your profile. I've pulled up the Bat and Kill one here to the right, which actually, between the time that I made this presentation and today, we hit 3,000 followers. So that's super exciting. But you can see that the feed is made up of the icon in that top corner, some information about us, our followers, how many people we're following, a little bio, a link. These bubbles underneath are called the highlights. And then you can see there's tabs for posts, reels, saved, and tagged posts. We're going to talk about that in a second. And then the grid. So when someone is looking at your feed, when thinking about your feed, you need to think about why someone would end up here. This is what someone sees if they visit your profile specifically by clicking on your username or looking you up in the search bar. Instagram.com/BatandKillFibers is what they would have to type in, or they would have to go to the search function on Instagram and type in Bat and Kill or Bat and Kill Fibers to be able to find this page. When someone comes here, they navigate here after interacting with you, either through a comment section on another user's post or through you being mentioned in a post or story. So you want to be creating those types of interactions. You want to be going and engaging and commenting on other people's posts so that people see you and look at who you are. You want to be mentioned in other people's stories. A good way to be mentioned in a story is to share a story and tag the account that you're hoping to be mentioned by, because it's relevant. So for example, we share a lot of stories of people who we have milled yarn for. We send the yarn out, they post about the yarn, they tag us, and then we can share the story. So by doing that, we get shared, they're tagging us, we're tagging them. These types of overlap are the things that the algorithm on Instagram, the program that functions beneath everything Instagram does, that's what it loves. So the more layered functionality you have between your posts and the way that you're doing things on Instagram, the better your account is served to audiences. Viewers can visit the different tab sections, posts, reels, saved, or tagged to learn more about you. So when working on cohesiveness for your brand, somewhere a lot of creators focus is on the look of this feed. This landing page for your brand acts as a funnel, leading people who visit you towards other content and not directing them to stay on Instagram. Because of the opportunity that your profile provides to direct traffic away from Instagram, there's nowhere that someone is going to organically find your profile. There's nowhere on Instagram that they can just stumble upon you randomly. There used to be a feature that was sometimes a recommended post feature, but now that's been replaced by ads. So mostly people are going to find you on this page by looking you up specifically. So when you think about your feed as a whole entity, you want to think about how it serves your existing customer, because that's who's going to find you, and also how it serves someone who's never heard of you before. So for example, on the Bat and Kill feed here, you'll see that we have a very simple bio. I'm going to get into the bio in depth in a minute that tells who we are, what we are. We've got the link, and we're using link in bio, which I'm going to talk about as well. We have our Live from the Mill series. Some other highlights that we're going to be working on are show highlights throughout this year. Then our posts are below that. We like to make them very clear. Very clear, easy to read. If I have a graphic, I try to make sure it can be read on my phone. You can kind of double check these things by sending them to yourself in an email, opening it up, reading it on your phone, making sure it's the right size, that the text looks good. And using cohesive colors. Even though I don't let particular colors dominate the Bat and Kill Fibers feed, we do often frequently find that a lot of things that we use have the same sort of green tones and blue tones in them. So you'll see a lot of our machinery has this sort of like dusty green tone, and then these brighter sort of emeraldy turquoisey greens. They're very industrial colors, but when you put them together with that energetic sort of blue, they don't feel as heavy. So look for colors that theme throughout your work that you can reference visually to create a cohesive Instagram feed when planning your posts. So let's talk about the bio. Your account name. Your account name is your Instagram handle. So for Bat and Kill Fibers, it's Bat and Kill Fibers. For me personally, it's Hannibal Knits. The account name is your Instagram handle. It's the part that you give people when you want them to find you. So if you're tagging someone, you would say at Bat and Kill Fibers or at Hannibal Knits. Your registered name is this bolded line. It's the first line in your profile. And technically on Instagram, it says, oh, it should be your first and last name. But I'm going to tell you a really cool trick. This name, you can put whatever you want here. And it is one of the top ways that people find you in keyword searches. I found out recently that if you typed in slow knitting, which is the name of my book, probably the thing that I'm best known for, you didn't get me right away. You didn't even find me because I didn't have anything in this line that said slow knitting on it. Once I added slow knitting to that line, I showed up first in any slow knitting related search. The person who had slow knitter was showing up in all the searches. And I had my name here, Hannah Thyssen Howard, but there's no reason for me not to put my name in this second section, the more open section of the bio. And yes, this does get SEO search engine capability, but this gives me internal search capability within Instagram. So think carefully about what you put for your registered name. What are people going to search for you by, and what search term do you want to be associated with? So if you're a farm, make sure it says farm somewhere in there. If you have a location, maybe put the location somewhere in there if you can. The next line is the account type. So this is kind of hard to explain visually here because different account types have subtypes. So for example, there are 3 main account types on Instagram. Your account types are personal, business, and creator. A personal type is what the default is. If you started your Instagram account and you were never asked what type of account you had, you probably still have a personal account. Personal accounts don't have as many features, and they also don't get any analytics. Analytics are important for us as businesses, but personal accounts get some cool little extras, like they get more music access during Reels. So if you operate your business account like a personal account, like you share a lot of really personal stuff, you're mostly looking to become an influencer first and a sales or a business centric account second, you might consider keeping it a personal account. However, if you would like to have analytics or any of the business tools, you would need to switch to either a creator or a business account. The main difference between a creator account and a business account is essentially what type of business you are. If you're an individual, an author, a publisher, someone who is doing art, there's subcategories within creator for that. So for example, I've got mine as author. Under business, there's subcategories that you can explore there. And so for Bat and Kill, we chose commercial and industrial, and this was a strategic choice because on Instagram, there are so many people in fashion and textiles. It doesn't make a lot of sense to try and compete in a category that's overly full. So if you have a smaller category that you fit into, let's say agriculture or crafts, you might identify as that in your business account rather than identifying as fashion or textiles because they're a little broad, they're a little full. The next step in your bio is the link. And you'll notice that for both the Bat and Kill Fibers account and for my personal account, I use something called link in bio. So link in bio is, it's a third-party service. You can host different, hold on, my brain is like checked out for a second. All right, the link can go anywhere, but I use a link aggregator service called Link in Bio. A link aggregator is essentially a directory where other links can be housed. So I'm going to pull one of these up to show you guys what that looks like. If it will let me. There we go. So a link in bio looks like this when you click on it as a customer. And essentially it creates a little landing page where you can have buttons, and each of these images can be individually linked to a topic. And then you have all of your other social media elements at the top. Link in Bio is the name of the app, LINKIN.bio. And you'll see that again when I go back to the presentation. There are a couple others that do this. Linktree is a very popular choice. I use Link in Bio because it works with a scheduling program that I use called Later, which I'm going to talk about later in the presentation. But an aggregator is great. You could also build something like this on your existing website and just link your link in bio to a page on your website that handles all this information or wherever you want people to land. But this gives us so many options for things that we can share in a really comfortable and easy format for our customer. So you might consider using a link aggregator for your profile link. Above that, you have your little bio, which, as I said, is SEO searchable. This is a little blurb about you. The words you put here double as search terms for people who are looking for you online. We make it clear what we do. At Bat & Co, we have custom yarn, roving processing, farmers, dyeing, wholesales, your wool, or we will source for you. Keep it simple, keep it short. Talk quickly about what you can do or what your main thing is, and then send them elsewhere to learn about you using that link. There are a couple other elements of this part of your profile. The profile picture, which ideally would be a picture of you, but it can also be your business logo or something people would associate with you, yarn or sheep. Around both of these pictures, you'll notice that there's a pink and orange kind of sunset colored circle. This is how Instagram indicates to you that a story has been posted recently to this account and can be viewed. When you're going live, like we do for Live from the Mill, a little box appears here at the bottom and it has a play button and it says live, and then people can click on it to join your live. All right, now we're going to talk about the feed post orientations and different types of feed posts. So there are a few different types of feed posts. There are standard feed posts, slideshow feed posts, and video posts. I'm sure you've seen all three of these, especially once we dig into them, you'll know what I'm talking about. A standard feed post is a static image. A slideshow post is multiple static images that you flip through, like a little slideshow. And then a video post is a post that uses a video clip. Posts in your feed appear on your profile page and also show up in about 1 to 5% of your followers' feeds. And 1 to 5% is the average across most Instagram accounts. That is an average engagement level. So whether you have 10,000 followers, 30,000 followers, or 500 followers, your posts are being organically served to about 1 to 5% of your followers. And you're going to get the 5% only if you're posting on a very consistent, regular basis. Instagram allows you to choose from several post crops and ratios. And you always want to start with the highest resolution image that you can, the highest quality image that you can. That way it looks the best across as many screens as possible. Square is the classic orientation of Instagram posts. Landscape is a newer option that they've allowed, and this is their ideal landscape size, but technically I believe they'll allow you to have it a little taller. And then portrait. I prefer to use portrait orientation. So I'm going to talk about why. The classic orientation appears at a quick glance on your feed where everything is gridded the same way. And this was really important when the feed was where most people would discover you. They would find your feed. People were sharing each other's feeds, following each other on Instagram, talking about the feed all the time. Now it's about the scroll. When you go on Instagram, how often do you really spend on someone's profile? You don't. You spend most of your time on that home feed scrolling. So you want something that takes up eyeballs when you're scrolling. And the two types of media that drag the most eyeballs are larger images, so the portrait style images, which takes up the most space on your screen, takes up almost the whole screen when you're scrolling, and video, which catches attention. Whether we like it or not, this app is 100% built on the idea that we all need to stay addicted to our phones and we need to be attached to them. So anything that keeps you attached to your phone longer has a higher rate of service to your audience. Slideshows in particular are kind of in an in-between place. Sometimes the algorithm really rewards slideshows and it wants to see more of them, and you'll see high performance for slideshows. And then other times it will take away that high performance prioritization. It's all just luck of the draw about what they decide is going to be important next. But slideshows can feature up to 10 slides. So they're really great for informational posts like infographics or a series of information slides. They're also really great if you have lots of images from a single event. So it's pretty cool to have a mix on your profile. Feed posts are evergreen content. So when I say evergreen content, I mean that they always remain on your profile. They can be read at any time. Because of this, they're served less when they're initially created, but they could be fed out of order to your audience, shown days or weeks after you've posted them, and they sit on your feed forever. So if someone is coming and exploring you for the first time and scrolling through, they're going to see that. They're going to see those good posts. All right, we're going to talk about Reels and video posts. And I had to acknowledge that the queen of Reels probably in our space is Tammy from Wing and a Prayer Farm, who happens to be a member of the same organization that Vattenkel is a member of, the Hudson Valley Textile Project. And Tammy is so good. She has adapted so quickly to Reels and just to Instagram in general. And if you're ever wondering who you can watch to see how to do it right as a farm or farmer, personality is everything. And Tammy has a lot of personality and she shows you how to show that through your Instagram. So if you're looking for someone to look at, definitely visit the Wing and a Prayer Instagram. Last year, Instagram combined several previous forms of video. So we had IGTV, which were short videos that you could upload to your feed up to, I think it was up to an hour, maybe it was up to 30 minutes at some point. A live, which allowed you to add a longer video to your feed, but you had to be live, like how we do with the live from the mill on Instagram. And then reels. Reels are the newest thing, and they've now combined everything under the header of reels. So there are two types of reels. There are reels that are created from uploaded video, either clips that you're combining yourself using the reels function, clips that you've already edited and uploaded to your phone or to your computer and then are uploading to Instagram directly, or lives that you've recorded and then added to your feed. Lives are probably the most tricky to manage right now because they have a lot of functions where you can only save one thing at the time that the live is created as a post, and you can't go back and edit it. Reels are kind of similar. Once they're up, and you can't go back in and edit them or tailor them any further. However, all this video content, like we talked about, keeps people on the app. And so Reels are inherently designed to compete with TikTok, which is getting a lot of news right now as the main competitor app to Instagram. And that represents a huge market share that Instagram is quickly losing. Gen Z and younger, some millennials are sort of like fading off of Instagram, and they've already mostly left Facebook. So Meta, the company that owns Instagram and Facebook, is very concerned, which is why they began to implement Reels as a way of trying to conserve that audience. So they are serving Reels at a higher rate than most other post types. And they also offer some incentives occasionally, although they've just phased out an incentive program. Reels are successful when they showcase something that you do that's unique or gives insight into a process or a lifestyle that most people don't see. So, for example, many farm accounts share behind the scenes of daily chores, insight into raising animals and farm life that city and suburb dwellers don't get to experience. So they get to experience it through you, through the videos that you're creating. If you're a dyer, you might showcase how a certain colorway is dyed start to finish. Natural dyers could show materials as well as the process, or spinners might show how a yarn gets started and what it looks like after you wash it. At Bat and Kel, we share a lot of reels of different stages of processing and tag the people that we're working with where possible. When you do an IG live, you have an option to save your feed as a reel as well. Some tips for working with reels: they make video editing super easy. They're a little bit fun. So if you're scared of the video editing element, take the time, create a little reel, see how it goes. If you hate it, you can delete it. It will not get served to that many people. We always make the mistake of thinking, oh, if I mess up, all these people are going to see it. No. Max, best case scenario, 1% to 5% of your audience is seeing it. So the amount of people that are going to see it within the first 5 minutes that you post it is so small. It will be okay if you delete it and have to try again. They do require a lot more storage space. So you need to think about, can your phone, which is usually the main method for creating successful reels, can your phone handle the extra storage required for video? Also, there's little tiny elements of creating reels that are maybe more advanced than we want to get into for this particular session. But for example, when you're looking at audio for your reel, you can see what audio is trending. It has a little upwards arrow next to the song names when you're looking through audio, and you want to pick trending audio because that's audio that's getting served at a higher rate and that people are listening to. So there's all kinds of elements just with this reels that make them a little bit more complex, but give you a higher reward and return. And if you feel that it's a good fit for your business, something to show and tell in a way that works for you naturally, then I would say go for it. Another element that you can think about on Instagram are stories and highlights. So stories, remember the sunset circle that was around both of those bio images. Stories are posts that live in their own area, hidden in that section. They also appear as a bar of different pictures on the front of your profile when you're scrolling through your feed when you first log in. These stories last for 24 hours only, and they're about building community. They're casual posts and announcements. They have a few different features that you can add in, like events, links, questions, polls. Most people use their stories as ways to make a quick announcement with very little commitment to visual or it doesn't need to be sleek. It's just a quick little post, a chance to show a little bit of personality, a way to show something funny that disappears within 24 hours. It's less serious than a reel. So I like to use stories for sharing and amplifying other people's posts or messaging or making these more casual posts and announcements. Stories have their own set of features, including links. So all of the accounts now have link access, at least in the US, all accounts have link access, which allows you to, let's say you do an update, you post a picture of the new yarn that you're featuring in your shop on your stories, and then you put a link that goes directly to that listing. And that is a great feature. It is somewhere that you can ask questions of your followers and then address them individually as talking points. You can do a poll to get quick follower feedback or have them vote on a new color or a new product weight. Event countdown is a feature that we use for live from the mill pretty frequently. It reminds followers that you have something new coming out. It's good for reveals, updates, events. And then stories can be brought into a highlight. You remember those highlights that we have on our profile, our feed page. Highlights can be saved only from stories. So if you've posted something to stories, you can save it to highlights, but highlights can only be created from stories. I know it's complicated. And those stories, those highlights are a way to save the stories together so that people can find similar information. So if you have frequently asked questions, it would make sense for you to do a series of stories on that frequently asked question, and then save those stories into a highlight on your profile. Instagram has some other features and terms that I feel like are worth to talk about, just in case you've heard them, but maybe you don't know what they are or you're not super familiar with the terminology. When I say tagging someone, I mean notifying them that I'm talking about them, or notifying other people who I'm talking about by using the @ symbol and then their name. And that links on Instagram to notify that person, hey, somebody mentioned you in a post, or it allows other people to click that and discover that person's work. So if somebody says, hey, @BatandKill created this yarn for us, then their followers will say, oh, cool, who's @BatandKill? And they'll click it and they'll check it out. Location tagging is a tag setting that you put together on your individual post. You have the option to add a location to any tag. Geolocation tagging gives the exact location that the post was made, but you can also assign a location to it. So for example, if you are at if you're in a big city, let's say New York City, and you don't want to tell someone I'm on the corner of 42nd, you would want to just say, I'm in New York City. In a more direct way, when we post something for Batandkill, we always geotag it Batandkill Fiber Mill. This creates a record, a visual record that people can reference when they're digging through Instagram. So they could look at the location Batandkill Fiber Mill and see all of our videos and posts, but also all of the videos and posts of other people who have visited the mill in the past. This is a great way to create kind of a visual record of a location like your farm or your store. Only use location tagging. I feel like this goes without saying, but only use location tagging when it's safe for you to do so. Be wise about when you post your location, and remember it's okay to save your location-based post until you've returned home or moved on from the location if you are worried about your privacy. If you're in an event, location tagging can help people view the event as a whole outside of the hashtags. So for example, you could look at the Dutchess County Fairgrounds during the dates of Rhinebeck and see all of the Rhinebeck posts. Even if you didn't want to look at the hashtag, which we're going to talk about in a second, for Rhinebeck. Hashtags were very critical to Instagram early on. They use the, my dad's going to kill me for not remembering the name of the symbol, the hashtag symbol, which is, that's not what it's called, the pound sign. There we go. The pound sign was used in front of different words to create a linking function similar to the function that we were talking about with account tagging. Hashtags were used to kind of group different topical posts, and people still use them, but there's so many now that most people don't really search by them actively. So I try to only use hashtags with over 1,000 posts or under 10,000 posts for the hashtag. It tells you when you use the hashtag how many people have used it. The bigger the hashtag, the more people are posting to it, so the less likely that you are to be seen. I don't feel like hashtags are as important as they used to be. I think that there's varied amounts of success with them, and so we don't really use them. I find that they're a little cluttery on our posts. I might have to revisit them and see if they're doing better now, but generally we don't use hashtags for any of the Bat & Co social media. I think they're a little outdated at the moment. What is not outdated and is new is this topic feature for Reels. Under Reels, it allows you to target potentially people who are interested in specific topics. So the topics to choose from are fairly broad. There's not very many, but you will notice that there's a textile art and a crafts topic choice. Sometimes we use the farm animals topic if it applies. These more directly link up to the Explore page, which is where people will organically discover posts and Reels within Instagram. And I think that these topics are going to become more important in the future and will eventually replace hashtags for functionality and filtered searches. There's some other features. Cross-posting to Facebook is an option now that Meta owns both Instagram and Facebook. All business Instagram accounts, all creator Instagram accounts have to have a Facebook account, and they have to have a Facebook page. So if you are currently a personal page, and you don't have a Facebook page, you don't want to create one, switching to a business or creator account would mean that you would need to create a Facebook page. The good side of this is that Facebook has excellent SEO, and you have the option when you make an Instagram account to cross-post to Facebook, just to duplicate that exact post on Facebook. Now, it is worth it to go in once or twice a week and edit up any of your captions to tag the correct people through Facebook, because the tags don't translate over. But it does give you the opportunity to reach new audiences, because not everyone is on Instagram. And once linked, keep in mind that the comments you receive on Facebook can only be viewed through the Meta Business portal, and captions may need to be relinked, mention that as well. So it could be a little bit of extra time to begin monitoring that regularly, and you want to think about that before you do the Facebook link up. Another new feature that's very, very important is collaborative posts. So this is a brand new Instagram feature, and essentially it's only available right when you're creating the post, but it allows you to tag a person in your photo and also tag a collaborator. Not every account is able to be tagged yet as a collaborator. I think it has to do with whether or not they've updated their account with the latest version. But tagging a collaborator invites them to accept or reject the collaboration. They'll get a message in their inbox. So if it's the first time they're getting that message, make sure that they know that you're sending them a message in their inbox about whether they can accept or reject the collaboration. And then when they accept the collaboration, the post appears identically on both your feed and their feed, and essentially doubles your audience. So this is a really valuable new feature, and we've been using it a lot at Bat & Co to great effect. It has definitely helped us increase engagement in a big way. Speaking of increasing engagement, we're going to talk in a second about growing an audience on Instagram. So different types of posts that you make pull in different types of Instagram users and produce different results. We talked about this a little bit with who is viewing your feed and how are they getting there. Feed posts, for example, people discover your feed posts in a few different ways. They may have been fed your post on their scroll because they already follow you. It may have hit the Explore page. This is a very, very low percentage of posts. It's like 1% of posts go to Explore, and out of those 1% go viral. And when I say viral, I mean more than 30,000, 40,000 views, a lot of traction. If someone has tagged you or shared one of your posts, they may click through to the post via story or collaborative post. It's also possible they search for you directly. Usually feed posts are seen most by your existing audience. 1 to 5% of your total audience is served your average feed post. So you want to approach making a post for your feed with the intention that they're going to serve your existing audience and increase your followers' understanding of your intention in some way. What are you trying to talk to them about, and what are they getting from you? And you really want to think about that with every post that you're making. Reels are considered more of your outreach posts. They have a longer trail. So when I say trail, I mean how long the data that's put into the system lasts out. How long is it served? They're shown to new users or existing followers for weeks after the post has been made, months even. And Reels typically reach double or even 10 times the audience of a feed post. So where a feed post might have 130 likes, the Reel has been played 10,000 times. So it's just a hugely different audience serve number, and definitely worth it to have both types. Reels are more likely to go viral, more likely to land on Explore, and more likely to get served to someone who doesn't already follow you. So definitely think about what would be a best first impression video, what would be eye-grabbing, what would be attention-getting when you're making a reel. Think about the music selection, the mood you want to create, the lighting. I know that seems like a lot. And if it's way, way too much, think about just doing a little day in the life to get started. Do a couple clips, maybe 5 clips of your day, 10-second clips, something little that happened to you that day, and then compile them. If it's too short, make it a week in the life and just try out Reels that way. Collaborative Reels also double your audience from the get-go and are one of our current favorite ways to post at Bat and Kill. If your work regularly involves other people, these are so beneficial to coordinate. A lot of people don't know how this feature works, but you guys can help us get the word out by trying it yourselves. The best case scenario is that you partner with someone who has a great following and a good overlapping audience. For example, a farmer and a fiber mill. Instagram Live is an in-the-moment event, and Instagram really treats these as transient pieces of media, even though they're added as reels and grouped into series. Instagram notifies your followers you're online, or it lets them know if they've signed up for that notification. You remember we had the event notification, the calendar notification option in stories. If they've signed up for that notification, then they will get a notification that you've gone live. And live involves streaming, so it's super dependent on your video and audio quality and your internet connection. You can download the recording of your Instagram Live via the archive feature in your profile settings, and then reuse that video content. So for example, we save it, we edit it, and we put it on YouTube. In the future, I have a long-term plan to take those videos and clip out useful statements and make little reels with them. There's a lot you can do with video content, and it doesn't have to be ultra fancy. You don't need a DSLR camera. We do most of this through just recording our Zooms or recording our Instagram Lives. Then, of course, we talked about the Instagram stories. It is transient, it lasts 24 hours. And so Instagram stories is really for the people who are really into what you're doing. It's small, casual, it's easygoing, it speaks directly to your audience. And it also has a close friends feature. The close friends feature can be great if you're running a Patreon and you have a specialized audience or a group that gets something extra, a little extra behind the scenes view. You can assign them to this close friends group using that feature, and then those stories will only show up for those people. And if you're listed as a close friend for someone else, you may have already seen this, but it creates a bright green circle instead of that sunset circle around the picture when they have a close friends story for viewing. Last, Instagram has rolled out a new feature that I don't know a lot about right now. It's called Instagram subscriptions, and it's made to compete with Patreon, Substack. We'll see how it develops. I'm not currently using it in any capacity for any accounts that I manage, but I have seen a few accounts I follow and a few friends who are using it. So I'm going to keep my ear to the ground and let you guys know what I find out about that. Once you understand the type of post each audience is pushed, you can begin working on key elements of what I would consider a really successful social media program. I measure the success of social media as a steady increase of high value target market followers. So we want to increase our audience, but we only want people joining the audience who are truly interested, engaged in what we're doing, want to know more about it, have purchased a product or interested in purchasing a product. It's not about quantity. It's always about quality now with social media, because so much quantity is money. And we run little businesses where we don't have big, giant budgets to throw in. So we need to make everything that we do count and be maximized output. When we're thinking about these elements to success that I have here on the right of the screen, these are going to be our goals. These are like headliners for putting together a great social media program. First one is consistency. The frequency of your posting matters. Our most successful results come from at least 2 posts per day, one of those posts being a reel. Honestly, increasing your posting frequency to a rate that is sustainable is going to be the ideal rate for your business. So if you can only post once a day, once every other day, make that post count by using a scheduling app that shows you the best time to post. We're going to talk about that in a minute, and putting it in a really high value slot on your calendar. Variety. Variety is having a diverse array of content. Different types of content serve different members in your audience. We just talked about that. Some of our Bat and Kill followers are on our feed to learn more about wool. Others just want to see cool machines. Some people are looking for more information about our services. Others are existing customers just hoping to see their products featured. We have to serve all of these entities. We have followers who are interested in visiting local events. Some are exploring sustainable textiles. They're exploring them in a national level, or they're looking at them specifically for New York. And so sometimes these posts that we make, they serve more than one group, but we are always thinking about who are we serving with these posts. Interactions, communicating and interacting with your followers and with people in your network, people that you would like to follow you or whose follower base overlaps yours, is an important and often overlooked element of Instagram. We're going to talk about it on the next slide. And then purpose. Posting with purpose is just as important as consistency. Having a clear goal for your communications helps the right people find them, and internally, it helps you create the right pathways for them to follow. Remember that your ultimate goal with Instagram is to have it be a reliable, consistent touch point, like your website or email newsletter, where you're reaching 40 to 60% of your audience instead of 1 to 5%. That's where you want to send all of these people from Instagram, to a really reliable touch point. Just remember, it's just a funnel. The point is just to take the people who are interested, move them to a place you can talk to them more easily, because we don't know how long Instagram is going to be around, and we need to own our own content as much as possible. And that means directing people to your website, directing people to your newsletter. We talked about interaction. Interaction is key. Captions. When you're writing up your posts, captions are important. They're SEO searchable. They show up in search engines. They're a good way to increase engagement with your audience and increase the likelihood that someone will discover your account through Google. Captions of all links seem to function about the same. It doesn't seem to matter if they're really long or really short. People read them about the same rate. They're going to read that first little tiny bit, that paragraph that shows up. And if you grab them, if that's interesting, they'll read the rest. I don't think that it matters if it's the full length or the shortest length. I think there are people who enjoy both types of posts. So I would experiment with both or feature both as much as you can. That's what we do on Bat and Kill. No captions is sometimes popular for aesthetic purposes, but if you want to go no captions, if you want to be avant-garde, make sure you're using other features like the geotagging and tagging people and companies. Interact with your followers through the comments that they leave. Meaningful comments matter more than emoji-based comments, and high engagement posts with discussion and lots of comments, have increased reach to both existing and new audiences because Instagram considers them more relevant since they keep you on the app. And then how you interact with other content also boosts your visibility. So how many times have you clicked through to see who is behind an insightful comment on a post that you were reading? You want to be engaging in a way that makes people click through. By providing high value comments and increasing the engagement on someone else's post, you're introducing yourself to new eyes. All press is good press. All right. Scheduling posts in advance is something that I get asked out about a lot. The cheapest, easiest, and most reliable way to do that is to learn Meta Business Suite. It's free. It comes with your Instagram account and with your Facebook account. It's not my favorite. I find it a bit chunky, a little complex, but it has everything that you need. One that a lot of other people like is Hootsuite. I personally use one called Later. Later is pretty streamlined. It has a very visually based platform. I'm going to give you guys a peek at what that looks like. Let me just move it over. So this is what Later looks like on the back end. And you remember me talking about those best times to post. These are the pink boxes. After you've made so many posts within a cycle, and right now you're looking at the clean fleece, but we could look at the HVTP. That'd be a cute one. After you've made so many posts, you can plug in to these best times to post. And sometimes you want to use them and sometimes you don't for different reasons. For example, at Bat and Kill, one of our best times to post is always right now, 6 p.m. on a Thursday, or for those of you in Eastern time, 7 p.m. on a Thursday. And that's because we're usually live. So I wouldn't want to post in the middle of our live. I want people to join us on the live. But Later is a great platform. It stores your media for you. It has an app, and it also allows you to preview your posts in a grid format, which I really enjoy. And then it has that link in bio setup where I can essentially just link each individual post to whatever I want. So definitely worth checking out if you need a referral link. I'm not sure if I have one or not, but I will grab you one. If you're interested, you can just shoot me an email. Scheduling posts in advance, again, as a reminder, is only for business and creator accounts and not for personal accounts. There are some nuances to posting different types of posts. For example, collaborative posts can only be created within the app. So I personally prefer to use Later because it will nudge me for these types of posts rather than auto posting them, and then I can't add a collaborator. When I say nudge, I mean it sends me a notification on my cell phone to let me know, hey, you have a post to schedule. So this is a very hands-on process. If you are not a hands-on person, you do not want to start doing major social media. Focus on your newsletter, focus on your website. It might be easier for you. But if you're willing to put in the work, you can reap the rewards. If, for example, I'm pre-scheduling posts, especially standard feed posts, I can also use a set it and forget it method. So if I'm going out of town and I can pre-schedule posts 5 to 7 days out, then I'm good. I'm good while I'm gone, and everybody will be none the wiser until I'm home. Okay, so I just talked about these, but one of the advantages is planning out your content timeline and being covered while traveling or on vacation, and making the most of your content. So you can reuse content across multiple platforms by pre-scheduling and planning it out. My last slide, and then we'll open it for a question and answer, is talking about setting realistic goals and timelines. Often social media is so stressful. It really doesn't have to be stressful. It is not the most important part of your business, despite what we hear, despite what people will tell you. Social media is one aspect of your business. It is not your whole business. People sold yarn, they sold wool, they sold sheep, they sold all the things that they needed long before Instagram existed. And there will be a period of time that it ceases to exist, possibly sooner than we think, depending on how things go with our government right now. But it does take a while to learn. Hold yourself to high standards and goals, but don't overdo it. Even with your best efforts, you might not get the results that you want. If you have really lofty ideas, aim for quality over quantity, and be honest about the effort you're putting in. Is it feeding into a larger purpose for your business or a brand with a higher return? It's a beginning. It's not a catch-all. And you need to remember that as you evaluate your successes. Only 12% of Instagram users have between 10,000 and 50,000 followers. 12%. We're all pushing for that magical 10K number. People who are at 10K are pushing for 30K. People at 30K are pushing for 100K. We're always pushing for higher and more, but we do need to hear sometimes this little dose of reality. Only 12% out of 1.3 billion users have above 10K. That's wild. That's a lot. That's so many users for such a small percentage of them to have that like ideal size account. So when I am feeling frustrated about whatever level I'm at, I think about this number. When we're working on Instagram, we always have to be prepared for the algorithm to change and for everything to change overnight. One morning we could wake up and reels could be absolutely valueless. None of our reels are getting any views anymore. And now they've introduced, sound bites. And that's the new thing we all have to do, is just record little sound bites all day, our thoughts as audio messages. And that's the new thing. And we would just have to adapt to it because that's how Instagram works. If it seems like way too much to do any of this on your own, there are people out there who can help you. Know what your goals are going in. I think both Mary Jean and I would be able to make some recommendations on people who run that type of work and would be interested in taking on new clients. But I think that it's great if you can do a little bit of it yourself. It's much lower cost to do it yourself. And you don't have to dig in super deep. You don't have to jump into analytics. You can just start with these basics. So I hope that this Instagram basic is like not super overwhelming. I feel like it was a lot of information, but we're gonna go ahead and stop recording and then we will open the floor to questions.